Governor-General Mary Simon has announced new appointees to the Order of Canada. There are 78 names on the list. Among those honoured are television and radio host George Stroumboulopoulos. He's being recognized for his leading contributions to media and journalism. Opera singer Diantha Ray Edmonds is also on the list. She's being honoured as Canada's first Inuk opera singer. And First Nations leader Wilton Littlechild is being promoted to a companion of the order. Littlechild is a residential school survivor who had spent his entire career working towards reconciliation. Also receiving this honor today is my next guest, Susanne Craig. She's being recognized for her significant work as a Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative journalist. That includes breaking coverage on the finances of former U.S. President Donald Trump. Susanne, thank you so much for making time for us, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell me, Susanne, at a time when journalism is facing increasing challenges, journalists speak every day about being attacked online, sometimes in person. We know that the trust in the media is diminished for many people. Many people are finding it difficult to distinguish what is credible news versus just misinformation online. In the midst of all this, what does it mean for you to be honored for your work as a journalist?
Well, I mean, I have to say this is just, it's incredibly humbling. You know, I think how long we spent trying to uncover new information and just shed light on Donald Trump's finances. And it's been since 2005 that I've been working on it. And I think this sends just, a message saying that this sort of reporting, investigative reporting, is important. And, I think we can sort of, as reporters, there's fact-finding, and that still exists even in this age, as you say, of, AI and misinformation, that there is a truth out there. And I think it still matters. And I think that's sort of, I take away as some of the message of what comes out of this award today.
Absolutely. Tell me, let's talk about, you won a Pulitzer Prize in 2019 for your reporting on Donald Trump's finances. There has been so many scandals and lawsuits since. Let's talk a little bit about that story, and how did a Canadian like yourself get involved in this investigation for the New York Times?
Well, what's so, I think, kind of great about the arc of the story of Donald Trump and the reporting on his finances that the New York Times did is it really just did come out of a simple question at the beginning of when he decided that he was going to run for president. And he had said initially that he was going to release his taxes, and he never did. And the New York Times just came to myself and a small group of other reporters and said, see what you can find out about his finances. Is there anything that he is hiding? And we just wanted to understand more, because he's the president. You want to understand what pressures he might be under behind the scenes, and his finances are, always important of a president to understand them. And we just started digging, and we, as we went, we just kept finding out more stuff. It started out in 2016 with 3 pages of a tax return that were mailed to me. And then we started to look just into the origins of his wealth. Another really simple journalism quest, just to understand where his money came from. And in doing that, we spent 18 months looking at that. And we found out not only had he inherited more money from his father, but he had enhanced that fortune through tax fraud. And that was the story that won the Pulitzer. But then we just kept going because we were still interested in the tax returns. They had never come out. There was a lot of pressure for him still to release them. The issue was going up before the Supreme Court, and we were fortunate enough that we actually got a hold of his tax returns. So I just think it's kind of this wonderful journalism expedition. We kept, continuing on, and we kept getting stuff. And it ended, I think in 2020 when we got his tax returns. We're still doing work, but that was really, I think, to me, the goal that we wanted was to get that and to learn more about his business, and we learned that he has lost just huge amounts of money in almost everything that he has touched.
And tell me, I wanted to tell our viewers, you are continuing to work on investigating Donald Trump, which of course is very significant as we're heading into the 2024 election in the United States. One last question I have for you is, we know that there is declining enrollment in many journalism schools. A lot of young people are reluctant to enter the profession for the very reasons you and I just talked about. What is your message on this day that you found out that you got this great honor in Canada? What is your message to young people who are perhaps contemplating entering journalism?
Well, I think it matters, and I think when you see, what a small group of reporters can do, and of course ours is at a level it's at the New York Times, but we had a small group of reporters just really committed to finding something out. And I think when I look back at my career, and I think I worked at the Calgary Herald, and I see not only now is there, two newspapers, but they share content, they're owned by the same owner. We need journalists to bear witness, and I think it is a really important job. And I think the more people and the more eyes we have on something, I think the better we are as a society, whether it's at the New York Times committing to it or smaller newspapers. I worry about small newspapers and smaller newspapers because there's just been so many layoffs and shrinkages of newsrooms. But having the infrastructure of a newsroom and having editors and eyes on things is important. I mean, we learn so much from social media, but just newspapers and the rigor that they bring, and not just newspapers, but television, networks that have infrastructure and just have checks and balances are so important.
Thank you so much, Susanne, and congratulations on your honor. Thank you for making time for us.
Thanks.
Inspiring words for sure. Susanne Craig is an investigative journalist now appointed to the Order of Canada.